All right, welcome back, everybody. This is our continued journey through the world of Firefly. We're now on to episode 7, which is Jaynestown.
Yeah.
I've got to say, MauLer, I really like this one.
See, I knew you would. It's this one is and we'll get to the next one next time. But this one, oh boy, it's so fun. It's such a fun episode.
Because Jayne is a character we like. Obviously, he's always there, and he's this like big presence in a lot of episodes. But like, he's generally just there to have a funny scene, or he's like the muscle for like combat scenes and so on. But this is one of the first times we get like a real insight into his backstory and his real personality, and it's great. You know, it's nice to get that little understanding of who he is and where he came from. And I would say the episode actually has quite a bit to say about the power of not fame, but almost like infamy, and like the way we build up legends around people that are usually not deserved.
The episode's about faith. They're weaving all over the place with it. I can't wait to talk about it as we go through. More than likely, it's quite it's a dense episode in terms of there's stuff in it, lots of stuff. Yeah. Always love it when dubious characters are given a story that very much is in line with what you'd expect them to experience, and it actually calls into question some stuff that they're so sure of, but are they so sure of it? And Jayne is someone who I think is kind of like a sleeper hit of a character. You expect him to be the muscle guy who has gun and does muscle things. But I'd say I don't want to take any credit away from Adam Baldwin. He's fun, like his portrayal of Jayne. He makes him very like you. On one hand, you'd expect him to be he's a gruff, like no nonsense, and he will kill you if you look at him wrong kind of guy. But simultaneously, engages in what you could call pretty strict cowardice at times. Like he'll high pitch his voice and he'll be like, "We should leave. Like we don't want to die," that sort of thing. Which
for sure.
Big fun. And then the fact that he'll make fun of people, or he'll just have an inappropriate comment for other characters, but ones that completely match what he thinks or feels about a situation, that creates a great dynamic with everyone else. Well, I think like that the team would suffer significantly without having him here. Like he very much provides an alternative point of view, because you could stack them all in one direction. He's the other sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And like I always got the sense that like he is the ultimate pragmatist. Like he will not fight for hopeless causes, and if it looks like the odds are against them, he would be in favor of cutting and run.
Yeah.
I loved his comment in the previous episode when you find out Mal's been poisoned by kissing a girl. He's just like, that's why I never kiss him on the lips.
It's such a him line, and you get the shots of everyone being like, "What the fuck?" And then I think it's Kaylee who's just like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
once he said that.
Well, anyway, let's dive right into it. So, I guess 3, 2, 1.
I think the dynamic between these two and Book and River, an impression I got with it when watching the whole episode, of course, is it's like an expression of the two worlds they come from, and an attempt to bridge the gap or to copy over the values of one to the other, and realizing that that's not necessary, and it's totally fine.
I think particularly in his case, you get to understand like there's a reason why he acts the way he does around her.
Yes, and like I think what's conventional is to see it as like you need to loosen up, calm down, and blah blah blah. And he's like, no, I don't do it because like I need to develop into something else. I do it deliberately. And yeah, this is another example again of how he captains, and he doesn't entertain people not being told twice, that sort of thing. Yeah, these little moments of like, don't Like, what are you fucking around? It's not happening.
The look on his face there is superb.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, I guess, dynamic with her as well. Like, occasionally she'll just go off on her own little mission.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good way to generate B plots and to give the out for our heroes, as they do in this episode.
Look at this mud farming.
Well, again, we got this set very buyable, and this whole place they spend the episode on. It's just so real, so gritty, so very. It has good verisimilitude. Is that the word? Am I doing that right?
You're doing the thing correctly, I believe. Yes.
Yay.
We really need Robert Meyer Burnett here to verify for us, but I think that's fine.
He probably likes Firefly. I'm going to bet on that.
I should imagine so. Yeah.
Also, yeah, I think it was a line earlier from Kaylee to Inara. She said, like, bye, have good sex.
Yeah. I think it's great when you find out as well how she ended up on the crew.
Oh, I love that. We'll talk about it next time. It's going to be great. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, I mean, she. It's nice to see her do something, I suppose, in this episode. It's still quite limited, but like she's got lots of questions for Book.
Stop describing me as like it's interesting how you can make a line like that funny, especially with the delivery, just how he's getting uncomfortable from the fact that he's accurate.
It's all in the build up, isn't it? Just like making him more and more like annoyed by it. It's like, okay, yeah, you're spot on. Fucking stop. Like that when he just turns around, this big mud print on his shirt.
Can't imagine the nightmare it is setting all this up.
This is a special kind of mud, presumably, that's not just like...
I think she mentions it's clay, right? Is the idea? Or is it
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like it would be difficult to come by, but...
Alien mud.
Yeah. Because he did say at one point it's like stronger than steel. Space mud.
I think anybody who watches Firefly, it's, not 100% exactly what episodes will be remembered, but most people remember the Jaynestown song, at least part of it,
Oh, yeah. It's just like once he realizes like how in love people are with his legacy, you can see him warming up to it so quickly. Like, oh yeah, I am a hero.
So, fun fact, and you can spot it at the seam of the t-shirt to the head of the statue, I think. Once they were done filming the episodes, Adam Baldwin broke the head off to keep. Like, I think he was essentially stealing it because it's like it's a fun thing to have. And then they needed to do pickup shots. And one of them was literally that one where they needed to have them all see it for the first time in the episode. Something they hadn't done. And so he had to put it back on.
Just really awkwardly.
Yeah, because the crack you can see there is not there the next time we see the statue. It's just funny to think about.
That is quite funny, actually.
Yeah, it's an opportunity you have with episodic TV, I guess. You can do it with any kind of TV, but having a episode that is devoted to a character, there's a focus on it, has a point to make about them, we learn a lot about them, and then you move on with the general story. It feels like
the scope for this kind of thing is just unlimited. I mean, Farscape did it all the time. There's great episodes where you got backstory for Eren,
they end up being favorites because you get to. It's a dynamic change almost when you get to learn a character, and it reframes some of the stuff they've done before and to be done.
Because I mean, I don't know if presumably when these characters originally created, like not all of this stuff will be fleshed out, and so the skill in writing episodes like that is to give you that backstory, to some extent recontextualize things that they've done in the past or explain their personality, but in a way that's like doesn't contradict anything that came before and doesn't try to like change who they are as a person.
Yeah, and like a lot of characters in this kind of TV show, and this goes for a lot of TV shows, is that they'll start out as a stereotype or an archetype. Just that's the funny one, that's the smart one, that's the strong one, that's the doctor or something role related. But it just gives you a chance to skew off then into something else. You want to give them a unique backstory, a unique spin on the archetype that they're going for. It's such a weird premise for an episode that when you start up, you're like, why is there a statue of him here? What the hell happened?
Yeah. I just love like taking the RO like with it. Like they're not just going to leave. Like, no, we need to stare at this for a bit longer. This actor was in 24. It took me a minute to place him when I first watched it. So he played the president in that.
Good old TV actors.
Yeah. Well, it was that funny thing, like around about that period of the early 2000s, they would just do the circuit of like a lot of the TV shows, and you see them crop up in random places like this, and you're like, good on you.
You obviously saw Deep Space Nine, right?
Yeah, from time to time. I wasn't like super fanatical viewer of it.
But Q is the name of the character in that, I believe, who's played by Armin Shimmerman. He was simultaneously the principal in Buffy. And as far as I'm aware, it's like a quote from him where you talked about how he basically had like a nightmare schedule of doing back-to-back shoots on both sets, moving back and forth to the shows. And people were like, why did you do that? That's insane. He was like, because you never know when the work will keep coming.
Yes. Yeah. That's the interesting thing about actors at this kind of level, where like they're not super famous necessarily, and this could be their last gig potentially. Make hay while the sun shines.
Yes, I also love the concept of trying to fix the Bible. He's like, that's not really what it's for. You're not supposed to solve it.
Because like there's a great economy of writing here, because you could get into a lot of theological stuff about like the meaning behind it and stuff, and he's just like, like it's not about being perfect and making logical sense. It's about faith and believing in something.
Yeah, I mean, what I take from this, and it's done, I think, very with some finesse, considering it's the B story, is that they both have something they're building upon and something that they find helps them in their everyday life, and it's not necessarily that they're incompatible. It's that they don't need to have the other person understand and feel. It's essentially, if everything is about faith in this episode, he draws a lot of what you could call like strength and a sense of self from his faith in the Bible, etc. While she's like, I can poke holes in it. It's not at all the point.
Well, I mean, I get the impression of two people that are trying to win over the other person to their way of understanding. Like she's driven by pure logic and consistency and so on, and like so she's trying to explains it like, you need to understand this doesn't make sense, and like if it doesn't make sense, then it can't be real, and what's the point in believing in it? And from his point of view, he's like, well, I'm trying to win her over to the idea that it could be about faith. It's about, if it provides guidance or comfort to a person, and that's got value in and of itself.
What makes it real doesn't necessarily, as the episode proves, it's not even necessarily that it has to be based on a true story. It's going to be about what you can draw from it yourself, right? And something that Jane has trouble understanding by the time we get to the end. And I think they do a really good job in this episode getting that point across, that faith and meaning and purpose and where we can draw strength from doesn't have to be built upon some kind of like, even the story of what Jane did. It's like it's got pieces of truth in it, and the aspect being that it's like it should be the whole truth. It's like, doesn't need to be.
Well, yeah, but then think about how the episode ends as well. It's quite a somber note of Jane realizing that the power of faith uncontrolled can lead to bloodshed and innocent people getting killed. And that's him like ultimately realizing like, holy shit, because of this like false legacy that's been created around me, people are willing to die for it.
Yeah, I suppose that could be a question at the end, that you inspire someone to some great action, but that the action isn't, they don't quite understand what they're doing, right? Like saving Jane is not what he thought it was, the guy who did it.
Yeah. And Jane can't wrap his head around why someone would do that for him.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like you see the power that even that song and that story gives this community. So you almost don't want to take it away from them. Because the thing with these kinds of episodes, Weed and Stuff, Mutant Enemy, they do it in their other shows. They'll play a thing for funny, and then by the time you hit the end of the episode, they make a very serious point about it.
That's some good writing.
Well, they ease you in, and then you're like, wait a minute, I didn't expect to feel things. Because we just get to enjoy everybody being like, why the fuck do they have a song after you, man?
The look on the doctor's face was just superb. Like, he was legit shocked.
Just the idea of listening to the lyrics and being like, how did they get to that? No, Mel. Yeah, this reveal that it's a much more nuts and bolts robbery that just went wrong.
He's still sore about it.
Yeah, the fact that he's recalling the whole set of events while they're singing his hero's name, and he's just like, fucking goddamn, 60,000.
It's such a stupid resolution there, but it's so funny.
Whoa.
He's got a proper Albert Einstein look going on.
Yeah.
Love it. I love how everyone was just congregated there waiting for him to come out.
He inspires them. Look at them all. So happy. Just makes the most sense that they would do this to this character. You're okay drinking that.
Malcolm's ability to just bullshit his way through any situation is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's very sly. It's a curious dynamic. The dad is very desperate to get his son to what is he, 27, was it, or something?
26, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't popped your cherry by that point, like, damn. I guess you're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah, 26. Hey, at least it's not 40-year-old virgin, you know?
This is true, yeah.
Though I suppose he never paid for it in the movie. So I guess he won.
Yeah, when he got there in the end.
Feels like another movie they would never make anymore.
No, definitely not. Just imagine being in that situation and your dad has to actually escort you in and then hurls abuse at you while he's doing it. Like,
it's so romantic.
I know, nothing gets you in the mood like that, eh? There's like no need for any of them to be getting drunk in this situation, but I like how they just decide to, like,
yeah,
fuck it, Jane. Yeah, we're all stuck here. Like, might as well.
I like we called Jade a mad ape gone wrong, as though man ape is already. It's probably not right. It's kind of the captain, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he gets there and he eventually gets what she's saying.
It's just, well, I guess what I think is actually kind of neat about that as an interaction is that he is a tough as nails sort of captain when things need to get done, but he will entertain and balance out like the interests of any given crew member. He's kind of like the perfect captain.
He should be in Star Trek.
He'd be a. That's kind of funny, right? He's just like, it feels ill-suited to be a Star Trek captain, but it's kind of the dynamic. He's more of a pirate.
He's a rogue. Yeah, he's like a rogue. He's a smuggler. But man, he'd be funny as fuck in command of a starship.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It would be really interesting to have him clash with a Star Trek captain.
Yeah, definitely.
Wasn't there between Book and River, he says he's going to put his hair back, and she says it doesn't matter, it'll be there waiting.
I didn't actually catch that line.
Yeah, it's like really funny.
We must have been talking over it. It'll be there waiting.
Wow.
Sick burn. The classic line. It's like the one that's said by every stripper ever. You're different from all the other. Yeah. I've never felt this way about anyone before. So this is, I guess, this is a demonstration of like the positive power of the faith that they had in him. Whereas like they used their collective bargaining to demand that they got to keep that money.
It is common in a lot of stories. It's like what does it take to unite a people, and the power that comes from that. Was it worth it? What the thing was, and then try to push and see what sort of balance can be.
Well, yeah, and then you can sort of flip that and say like, well, how far would you go to maintain that lie? Essentially, how extreme do you have to get to cover that up for the greater good of the benefit that it's given, like this whole community?
It's touching on Watchmen, right? The end of it.
Yeah, I mean that takes it to the most extreme level, but yeah, it's the same idea.
It's like principally though, it's a lie. It's not the truth. Got to expose it. Or consequently, it's worthwhile.
Never compromise, MauLer. Not even in the face of Armageddon.
Not even a little bit.
I mean, if it was like that choice of compromise or get turned into red mist, I think I might be willing to.
Also, that's actually a question that gets kicked down the road of an interesting thing. Would it be right, even in Rorschach's sort of principled point of view, to simply lie so that he can then get the truth out? You know what I mean? Like if he just said,
lie in that situation.
Yeah, just so he can survive it. And then, but I guess, would Dr. Manhattan know anyway?
I mean, he can see the future, so
probably, yeah. He probably does.
He would know that you're going to tell people
but
eventually.
I think Rorschach's the kind of character that doesn't like to just lie at all ever, right? He's like, he'll just tell you how it is.
Yeah.
Look at this fella.
Yeah, he's got a unique looking individual, isn't he? Spent 4 years in a box.
Well, well. Poor guy, he didn't even get an eye patch.
Yeah. Man, he just decided to own it, though. And you got to respect that.
You really do.
That looks like an intensely uncomfortable thing to fall asleep on.
Yes.
the shittest looking wooden bench you've ever seen.
You'd have to be pretty drunk.
It's great how you just got a random woman as well.
Yeah, it feels pretty Jane appropriate. My goodness, they will, they won't, they hang with those two as well.
Yeah. She's got a bit of sass about her as well.
It's their little class struggle that they have. It's merely just a misunderstanding because truly they match so well.
I did like his line there as well. Can I get a menu? Doesn't seem like that kind of establishment, sir.
You did it. Manhood unlocked.
Yep. You've advanced to the next level. Mind you, if you've just bought it, like it's kind of like going to a supermarket and buying a steak and saying that makes you a hunter.
Yeah, it does feel kind of like cheating, and not you gotta go fishing, right? You can't just buy the fish. You're right. Enough sex. We got things to do.
Fun time is over.
I really like Mal is outwardly confused and annoyed that Jade is giving him these responses. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Because it's obviously like piqued his ego here. So, yeah, I really help these people.
It's just like, we got jobs to do. Jade is the most reliably, like, selfish person. Let's get the job. And he's just like, well, no, maybe we shouldn't do this to these people. And Mal's like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
what? I can imagine with an ensemble cast like this that you'd, for the longer the show goes on, the expenses have to get ridiculous, right? Everyone's be cranking up their budgets.
What, in terms of like their wages?
Yeah, like correct me if I'm wrong, but you can ask for a double or like a significant increase in your.
You can, yeah. It depends on what your agent is like, but
Yeah.
generally season after season, if you're an integral part of the show, for sure, you can
Negotiate a lot.
Some pretty big salaries, yeah.
I have to imagine if you intended to take it to, let's just say for the sake of argument, 20 seasons, you'd probably have to be like, right, I'm killing everybody once they've reached 5 seasons. Like, you switch them all out.
I mean, you could potentially like sign them up for like a 5-season deal. Their agent might not go for it though, but like if it's a relatively unknown actor, they might take it because it's like, well, it's a huge opportunity. So
yeah, especially compared to if it's like 5-season deal or nothing, you'd be like, oh shit, yeah, definitely. Then.
Yeah. This is why a lot of shows now on like the big streaming services, they don't go much beyond 4 or 5 seasons because the actors just get too expensive and the revenue just isn't there. And obviously for
super
streaming,
interesting
it works
to me,
different.
Depending on the circumstance, because of course there's so much history in the industry that there's got to be a lot of reason for it. But I know that like the actors for The Simpsons took pay cuts eventually because it went on for so long that they had to be like realistic. It's like the show can't do this but like of course they wanted it to keep going, and it makes me wonder about other shows where actors could probably negotiate for more, but that they believe in it, you know?
I'd imagine there'll be shows like that. There'll be actors like that. It's just there's going to be so many different factors at play. It depends on the show. It depends on the actor's commitment to it. It depends on whether their agent decides to be an asshole about it and demand more. There's a lot that factors into it. But yeah, I guess with Firefly, we never really got to find out.
Nope. Poor Simon. Wrong place, wrong time, buddy.
Yeah, he just wanted to have his breakfast.
Didn't even get the menu.
It's like, well, you can have slop, or green slop.
Or beer.
Yeah. It's a nice just sort of subversion there, because you'd expect that to knock the guy out, but it barely even faces him. He's like, yeah,
like
his fucked up even more now.
His logic of basically like, I have been in the worst situation for like 4 years. Nothing matters to me. Like, you can't do anything to me. We hold position.
Are they selling Jane dolls behind him?
Maybe. I couldn't see that.
I love the idea that he's got merch already. The most inappropriate speech giver ever.
You gotta love how mundane the statue is as well, in terms of like what the guy's dressed and the stance he's got. It's very just normal. It's like normal man.
Just wearing a jacket.
Yeah. But in
yeah,
a
like
way,
you say,
that's
you
what's
can
so
see
inspiring
there.
about it.
Yeah. He's the working class hero. It's the writing for his speech is really good, because it's like right on the borderline of being something really good and inspiring and being completely shit. It's like just in that middle ground.
It's there's something you definitely can get from what he said, even though it was kind of crappy.
Yeah.
It's not very nice.
Not untrue, of course.
No, you tried to style the beard, I'm sure. Yeah,
this is where it all comes out.
It's nice and in character to try and have Mal move in on him at the side. But no, you're not allowed. We gotta do the reveal.
Yeah. I mean, I figured like Mal might have just drawn down on him and shot him rather than try to sneak up on him.
I don't know if it's like you do that when you've got no other option, because if you can get to the gun, you ensure like he's not going to use it. If you draw on him, you got to rely on you being faster for sure, as opposed to I don't know, guaranteeing it by grabbing him from behind. But I guess it was risky either way. Because of the thing, like at this point, it would be seen as like, oh no, the story's been revealed, but I don't know that it's going to make the difference, right? Because it's been so embedded in this community for all these people. As in, like, would they even believe it?
Well, what they've achieved won't. I guess it's not going to be undone, even if it's all founded on lies. I love how he just took a knife to the chest and he's still going.
Yeah. Doesn't get to. He's not got much left in him, though.
No.
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, I wonder if random dude with the half his face, shit off. He's like, seems crazy. Telling this story is like, I wonder if they would even entertain it being true anyway. You're gonna need.
I
it
mean,
from
potentially,
pain, right?
yeah, they might dismiss it. Good, it's a good little realization there of one, like admitting everything that happened to the crowd, and also you can almost see it in his face, like, yeah, you know what, I actually was a piece of shit, and
Yeah,
I've been trying to entertain this idea that I'm a hero, and I'm fucking not, and like it's about time I realized it, and you did too.
just feels so ridiculously undeserved from his perspective at this point.
Yeah.
That again, like I said, it's played for laughs throughout most of the episode, but now it's actually like got the serious bent to it, which is where all that meaning comes in. And it's going to change how he acts in future somewhat, and it'll be interesting for us to think about going forward for him. And you like that happening with any character?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, does it have repercussions in terms of his behavior going on?
As you're aware, there's only very few episodes left. But I find Jayne to be a really interesting character anyway. He has to make a lot of choices, and we know we can talk about this more so next episode, but his origin, so to speak, or the kind of person that he is, it's like you could already argue that there's been significant change.
Mm-hmm.
Wipe that smile off your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an odd one.
He became a man.
Like, he's even man-spreading there, the way he's sitting. Billy Big Balls.
He's learned the basics.
It's funny, like, because that whole subplot was so disconnected from everything else, and then it's like, finally, right at the end, you get a little bit of payoff for it.
It syncs up. Yeah, how's this for closure of a plot line? It's like anti-closure.
It's an interesting perspective, this, isn't it? Like, in this survival situation out here on the frontier, where like a lot of the normal rules of civilization and law and order have just kind of fallen by the wayside. It's like it's more important than ever to show that decency and that respect and proper behavior, at least from his point of view. It's a good argument to make. Like, I think a lot of shows would just abandon that idea and just say, he's being pompous and silly.
Well, I think that most shows just have the dynamic of he's proper and she's not, and that's that. And he actually argues in favor of it, like understanding that's the dynamic, but that it's deliberate and he's not going to drop it.
That's a pretty good way of summing up the whole episode, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not about you; it's about what they need. They just need to believe in something.
It's tight as fuck, this episode, in terms of the point it's making. And they did it in a fun, actiony, crazy nonsense, crazy world fantasy way, and just a solid episode of TV.
Well, yeah, like as you say, the ability of a show like this to blend together that kind of lighthearted, adventurous, humorous setup, but ultimately give it a really serious payoff, and not have it feel clunky or preachy or overdone or melodramatic. There's a lot going on there, writing wise, and there's a lot of finesse involved in making that work.
Yeah,
and it just does it. It does it so effectively.
Yeah, and I think, as far as I'm aware, this is one that a lot of people tend to vote a bit higher than the average episode for this season. And it's, I think it crystallizes that formula they're trying to nail, and it does it well. And having it be a POV character, like I said, that I think a lot of people could mistakenly assume is going to be be one of the more interesting episodes is good shit.
You can, it shows that unlimited potential with a big ensemble cast and an episodic TV show where you can just put them into all kinds of situations. You can explore the backstory. You can put them into unusual scenarios where they have to think outside the box, or just, show some aspect of their personality that we didn't know so much about before. It's just a great format for doing that kind of thing. And yeah, the mind boggles at where this could have gone if they'd had 3, 4, 5 seasons.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, I think we've made this sort of observation, but being shown this and, being like, this is what we've got, it's going on, how much confidence do you have in it? Let's say if you were like an executive producer or whatever, you'd be like, oh shit, man, we're golden. This is a really solid show. And I think it's going to satisfy a lot of people's interests in, sci-fi fantasy fun time.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'll be good to go. It's funny, it's snappy, it's well paced, it's covering things that are going to be pretty meaningful. It's got really good characters, excellent actors. We're golden. No way this doesn't get a season 2.
Yeah, it's a cruel world.
Well, Batwoman got 3 seasons, right? I know that it's silly to compare, but you get what I mean. It's just in a broad cosmic way.
Yeah, I mean, you could name any number of shitty shows that absolutely didn't deserve another season and ended up getting like 3 or 4 or however many. And yeah, it's good stuff like this. It was just, I don't know if it was a sign of the times. Like back then, it was just...
you had to be real fucking good. And
yeah, I think it was.
Results.
There was just fewer avenues for stuff like this to come out. And if you weren't top tier or if you weren't getting the viewership, you didn't make it. And that is a shame.
Yep, this didn't make it.
But, well, that was episode 7 of Firefly. Jaynestown, I thought, was a really fun, excellent, well-written episode with actually a really serious point that it makes, and it makes it well. So, cannot fault
Good
it.
Stuff.
Yeah. Well, I guess that'll bring us to the end of this little episode of Firefly. So hope you've enjoyed us talking about it. Hope you've gotten something out of it. We certainly did anyway, just rewatching this thing. But you can join us again for our next episode where we're going to be watching episode 8, which is Out of Gas, which, if you're familiar with Firefly, is considered one of the goodies. So catch us for that one. But for now, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.